This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. Just got back from Cali last night, so back into the grind of things. So I'm feeling good.
All right. So what'd you think of the luau, bro? Why weren't you invited?
So I was invited, actually. I got invited a couple months ago. I probably was one of the first people who knew what was going on. But I had a guy's trip planned for this weekend that I had planned for like 3 months now. So we went to LA, we went to Joshua Tree. So I had to miss the luau. So
yeah, you went to what was left of Joshua Tree.
Yes, what was left of Joshua Tree.
Yeah, okay. Because I know it's what is left of Joshua. Did you take pictures?
It's the desert. It's the desert.
But the tree itself is no longer there, right?
So I've learned this. There are a Joshua Tree. There's multiple Joshua trees. There's a bunch of Joshua trees throughout Joshua. So there are a bunch of the trees left.
Okay.
Maybe not one big one, but there are a bunch of.
But supposedly the one that everybody went to see, some idiot killed it off or something, right? Or some crap or something. Well, I forgot what it was. Some moron poisoned it or something. And
maybe I'm not familiar.
Story. I forgot what it was, but the one that's part of the YouTube picture and all that stuff.
Yep.
You know that apparently that's the one that was like killed or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's why I was asking if there's like some memorial or something somewhere in that area for that tree or something.
Missed it.
Yeah, I don't know. It says I got to look back at that story on how it was annihilated or something. The damn Joshua Tree. What else did you do out in California?
We went to LA. So
do a little peyote while you were out there in Joshua Tree, also.
No, man. It was a quick trip. So just hanging with a couple of my buddies. We did the LA vibe for a night, and then we just hung in Joshua Tree, figured out who could cook and who couldn't. So it was a good vibe.
I some tells me that you guys were in Joshua Tree, like I was in Key Biscayne, and in the 80s after a little bit of too much Thunderbird. And I'm just shooting stars while I'm lying on the beach. Little Mad Dog 2020.
Hey, they're great. There are great views out there at Joshua Tree, night and morning.
I can imagine. Well, the views in the beach weren't that bad either, by the way.
No, not at all.
Not here in South Florida. It's the views are never that bad as it is. All right, so getting back to the luau. Your thoughts on Mike McDaniel and his warrior chant. Let's put it that way.
I thought that it needs some improvement. The warrior chant. The voice actually wasn't bad. He didn't have the voice bad at all. But he might have to get some lessons from Jalen Phillips on getting the intensity of it to match. But I do think it was dope for Tua to have all of that support there. I know they couldn't have it last year because of COVID. So just giving everybody back, but also having your new head coach there. You have Dan Marino there. You have some teammates there. So I think it kind of it was a cool event. It's something that I think or I know it helps a lot of people, but also it kind of I think helps Tua that all these people care about his culture and are willing to kind of, spend their afternoon with them. So I thought it was dope.
Well, he took a moment to kind of express that also about, that it was cool that all that the coaches and the head coach and people were here to support him. I think he even mentioned like this is something that I've never experienced before.
Right.
And remember, this is a guy that's been doing it already in Hawaii and in Tuscaloosa. So it's not like this is the third city where he's doing these things. So this is not the first time that he's been tied. So apparently Saban didn't go to them, I guess.
I don't know. I guess so. Right.
Because everybody thinks about flow, but technically you didn't hold it last year. So you can't, even though we know Flo's not going to do any of that stuff that you saw Mike McDaniel do. We all know Flo's. Hell, Flo may not even appear at that thing. He might be one of those classic ogre coaches that just doesn't show. But I actually thought about Saban when he said that. I go, so wait a minute. So Saban didn't go either while you were at Alabama?
Right.
Seriously? That's
weird. It does bring up some questions for sure.
But again, Saban, Belichick, Flores.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of that old school cloth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got to go out on a limb now. Is the new school approach going to work for you?
I want it to work.
I think we all trust me, Cam. We've been suffering down here a lot. We all want it to work.
There's cautious optimism. That being said, I am not trying to champion a coach or champion a thing before it starts, because that's when you sell false hope. And I'm not trying to give the fan base false hope, because I haven't seen them play a game yet. I haven't seen Mike McDaniel call a single play. Although he was a big mastermind behind the 49ers scheme, this will still be his first time calling plays for his team in a substantial level, So I want to see how that goes. I want to see how everything gels on paper. It looks great with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and all these weapons for Tua. How does it look in actuality? So I can't say for sure, hey, I feel great that this new school approach is going to work so much better than the old school approach. But I am cautiously optimistic.
You know why I'm convinced this is going to work?
How?
Because every coach, believe it or not, Dolph fans have ended up liking him right from the get-go. Mm-hmm. This guy they didn't like from the get-go. This guy, he's short, he's geek, he weighs 150 pounds, he wears glasses. We're the only ones that interviewed him. He doesn't really call plays. I am convinced that this now it's changing as time has gone on. He has won people over, but the initial part of it was kind of negative. I said, okay, this is the one that's going to work, because we've been too positive about all the other ones and they never work. And whether it's, by the way, Saban, Parcells, or Jimmy.
Yep.
I mean, we couldn't have gotten more positive about those three. Yep. Forget about the Gases of the world and the Flows and Cam Cameron or Philbin or whatever, or Sperano. Even the established ones that we got really crazy for didn't work out.
Yeah.
This is the guy that is going to work out because of all the negativity I saw from the get-go. So
but you're right, Big O. Usually it's the ones that everybody talks about that doesn't get the love. I remember, and he's on his next job now, but I remember when Doug Peterson got hired, he was the worst head coach hire that period, and he ended up winning a Super Bowl before any of them else. Now he got fired still, but I think Dolphins fans would take it if it ended up in the Super Bowl, regardless of how long the guy stayed.
Yes. Any title we'll take. Dude, I'm 55. Last time they won a title, I was like 8 years old, man. I mean, it's just
right.
It's like I remember giving a 5 to my dad and all that. But I, you at 8 years old, and especially an 8-year-old in the 70s, is way more remedial than an 8-year-old in the 2020s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm thinking of Tonka truck.
Yeah.
Not even football at that moment. I'm really thinking of a Tonka truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, now an 8-year-old nowadays is, I don't know, dealing in NFTs and has a beeper and a phone and what, not beepers, the beepers aren't around, but phones and whatever, man. I mean, it's just crazy, an 8-year-old nowadays compared to an 8-year-old back in the day. So
hey, it's crazy. Even a 1.5-year-old. My daughter's 1.5, and she knows the phone. She knows how to turn the TV on and try to get to her Netflix. Like, these are all things I could not imagine of doing. It's definitely an advanced generation.
At 1.5, I'm still stuck in the nursery, bro.
Yep.
I'm still in a cage, man.
Yeah, I'm not knowing any of this.
Jailed still at 1.5, man.
Yep.
Your kid's free, roaming,
running
TVs on and stuff.
Yep.
Looking and everything.
It's going to be a smarter crew of kids for sure.
Yeah, way smarter, especially. Yeah. By the time she's 10, she's 1,000 times smarter than I am right now.
Yeah.
Right this second. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, that's impressive how these kids learn. All right. So we look at that comment. How much did you read into it? Did you read into it on the flow part? Did you ever think about Saban like I did?
So I immediately thought about all the coaches he had before, but I think it said more about McDaniel, honestly. I looked at it and it said, hey, this is a guy who truly feels it. Because a lot of times us in the media, we get what the team and the player puts out, but you don't know what truly they feel. So that to me says that he feels genuinely the support in a way he hasn't felt in a while. So that was my
I'm with
thing.
you. I'm with you because what you're saying is if it was LeBron James, it would be that passive aggressive bull crap.
Right.
And what he was saying was coming from the heart.
Yes.
He wasn't thinking flow at all at that moment. He was
right.
in appreciation mode of the people that were there. He was living in the moment. The rest of us want to live in the drama and create everything else. I'm with you. I think he was living in the moment.
I think he was. I really think he was. I think he was like, man, this is going to be dope. I have a coach that supports me, and I'm excited to see where that goes, you know? And so I think it was that simple for him. That's, you know, we can make it more fun and say, hey, it's about this coach that, but I do think that too is thinking, man, this is dope. I just met this dude and he's on stage trying to, you know, do my native haiku chant, you know? So.
Yeah. Did you catch the I Am Athlete? Do you have that cut there? Are we going to get tagged for that crap if we play it? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, if they hit us, they'll trim us. They don't take away anything.
All right. So you know the I Am Athlete podcast with O and all these guys. They had Waddle on.
Yep.
And so you know what I'm about to ask you then.
Yeah. So I haven't watched the whole thing, but I watched a few clips of it.
But you watched the cut about Mac Jones and Tua and Omar asking.
Yep.
Well, just for the record, last year when that happened, what Waddle says now is exactly what I was saying. What he was doing, is that he was helping his current teammate out who was trying to get into the league, whereas Tua was already a made man already in the league. But we spun it. Okay, in the media, and fans. Let's not because I love how they throw just the media. It's the media, and the fans are just as bad as the media at times with this kind of crap. So let's play the cut just in case people haven't seen it. Here's Omar following up on what I would think was actually very necessary to ask in a way because you kind of want to put it to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it seemed to me like Waddle wanted to put it to rest too.
Yes.
Go ahead, fire off.
In college, you actually said that you thought Mac Jones was.
I knew this was coming.
Really?
I knew this was coming.
Nah, I always defended you by saying that's what you got to say,
right?
Because you coming out with him, and that's what right.
But I had to put my tea down. I look at it like, all right, Tua's already been drafted. If I can say something to help someone get to where Tua at, why wouldn't I say it? Tua already. They was killing me about that.
In college.
There you go.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on it?
So I thought perfectly makes sense. I mean, I didn't know the situation, but in the draft process, I heard him say that. I did not overreact. I thought the same thing. This guy's coming out with you. Mac's coming out with you. He's your quarterback in this draft. Why not help his stock get better? So him confirming that makes a lot of sense. Now, I will say that if he was lying, he would probably say the same answer. But, But I do believe, honestly, that that he said he pumped Mac up because he wanted Mac to get higher, drafted higher. So I don't think it was that big of a controversy as people made it at the time. And hearing him say it there, hopefully puts it to bed, you know, as far as the Tua, the Mac, that sort of deal.
I think that sometimes fans and even some people in the media at times, they think there's more, it's sometimes a little more personal, more competitive than it really is.
Right.
Yeah, it's competitive. But once you get into that circle with those guys, it's more about support for each other than really one trying to raise one to bury the other. And if you look at Waddle, he's not that kid, dude. He's not. He just doesn't look like that kind of guy that's a malicious guy in any way, shape, or form, dude.
And you got to realize, Big O, about the draft process. especially when you have these higher drafted prospects from the same school. A lot of the interviews are teams asking a player about another player. That, like, sometimes a team will bring a quarterback in when they have no drafting picks of the quarterback just to ask about his top receiver. What was he like? How was he like as a roommate? You know, did he learn the plays? Did you stay after practice? All these things that had nothing to do with that player. So I think these draft picks are trained to talk up their teammates so that their teammates can go higher, and hopefully they return the favor too. So I think it's all a process. It's a little bit more of a game than people would realize as far as the pre-draft process. So I don't think it says any indictment about Tua. I think it's just the reality of the situation. He probably would have said the same thing if it was reversed and Tua was coming out that year instead of Mac.
Are you hearing anything draft-wise? What do you think they're focused in on? Because obviously they're later picks.
Yeah, I mean, they might be bored by the time they get on the clock, right? This will be Friday night, you know, near midnight, right?
No, think about, hey, I got to broadcast it, okay? All right. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thing I don't know what you're gonna do day one.
It's all right. I'm in Vegas, so you always have to look at things, you know, and spin it the right way.
Exactly.
Okay, exactly. So, you know, I'll do the first night. Sean and I will have a lot of guests. You'll probably be on at one point or another throughout those 3 days because we'll have the insiders being a part of it. But, you know, hey, man, the good thing is when we're done, Sean and I can look at ourselves and say, we're in Vegas. Let's go.
Yep.
You know, so
time to party, right?
And by the way, it won't be 12 o'clock at night when we're done.
That's a great point. You guys are gonna be done by 8 or 9 o'clock. You can still hit the tables. You can still get a good dinner in. You still be good.
That's right.
Yeah,
we're in Vegas.
You're in Vegas.
That's the way you got to look at it. We're in Vegas.
And no early mornings. You know, everything's gonna pop back off in the evening, so you should be good.
Yeah, man, we should be absolutely fine when it's all said and done. What are you thinking in the latter part of the draft?
Yeah, so I see them attacking. We actually talked about it last show, but some of the positional groups that are not heavy need positions or heavy value positions. So a position like center, which doesn't typically have a lot of value, and I can see them drafting a center in the middle rounds. The kid from BC, Alec Lindstrom, is there. He probably is a guy you can get with either your 3rd or 4th round pick. I can see them going with inside linebacker. They need another backer there. So the 3rd or 4th round pick, that's another area where you could get a linebacker. I know they brought in a guy named Shannon Tidwell from Georgia, a speedy linebacker, one of the fastest linebackers in the draft. So he's a guy who's probably going to be available there in the 3rd or 4th round. So those are the two positions I'd key on. Running back and edge rusher are also spots that I could see them using one of those picks as well. So for me, it's probably lesser big name draft positions and more of those, you know, filling the holes at center, at linebacker, maybe at running back. So they have 2 picks in 3rd and 4th round, and those are their main picks. So if I guess, I'd probably say center linebacker at this point.
You know what I'd like to ask? And I'd like to find out, maybe you can do that instead and make a story on it, because this is a different angle now.
Yep.
They're not picking till late. So how much more careful should they be about bringing candidates in? Because when you're picking early,
right,
in the first couple rounds, you're bringing in the same players everybody else is.
Yep.
But once you start bringing in players that you're targeting in days 2 and 3,
right,
now you're being a little bit more specific about a draft that's on the deeper part of it.
Yep.
And now you're really showing your cards more than anything, because on the early picks, you're all interviewing the same guys. But on the back end, you might have different needs, different views, different understandings of players, and that's how. And by the way, they have been this group here specifically has been successful with the later picks,
right?
The undrafted guys.
This is a lot of time where you'll get differences. You know, your coaches will have more viewpoints in this stage of the draft. Scouts will have their viewpoints. I've seen a lot of draft rooms where scouts and coaches have disagreed on a pick, and it's been clear. Like, I've seen video. You see some people in the room who are upset. You see some people in the room who are upset. Some people are happy, and it's kind of like, you know, we'll see. So yeah, I think this is where you really make your bread in a draft late day.
That's why I'd like you guys to write a story about this.
Yeah.
Does the strategy change now? Interviews and all, because you're picking.
And I think it does.
Late.
Like if you kind of notice some of the 30 visits they've already had, they haven't had many first round picks in because they don't have a first round pick. So it's a lot of guys in the middle rounds. You know, I mentioned one in the linebacker and Shannon Tidwell. They brought in James Cook, part of their local visit. So all of these guys are guys going to be available in the middle rounds. And you try to get more information on these guys, you know, especially guys who may have not played that often or had injury issues. You're trying to get that so you're informed.
Did you watch the Marvin Allen interview with Travis Wingfield?
I did not.
Well, Marvin there in that interview, and now he's Robert Hunt.
Yes.
So Robert Hunt doesn't end up playing in, was it the Senior Bowl or the East West? I forgot which one he was invited to.
He played in the Senior Bowl, I thought, or he got invited to Senior Bowl.
He got invited to the Senior Bowl, but he got injured and could not play in the Senior Bowl. And because I think that year he also was kind of limited. He had some injuries or something in that season also.
Yeah.
So Marvin was talking about how he was super happy because they had done all their interviews with Robert before and he loved the kid and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so when he didn't play in the Senior Bowl, they were super happy that nobody got to see him.
Yeah.
And they thought that that's the reason why he was able to drop to them. And so that's why I'm kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
When I thought about that, I said, okay, well then I hope they did their interviews on the road a lot this year at the East West, at the NFLPA, at the, what is it, the
HBCU Combine.
HBCU Combine. I hope you did a bunch of interviews in all those bowl games.
Yep.
And throughout the year, because that's where you're going to get your guys from the 3rd to 7th rounds, pretty much.
Right.
So, you know, I wonder how the draft strategy changes for them publicly now.
I bet it does. And it's harder to have true smoke screens, right? Because you're picking into the 3rd or 4th round pick. So a lot of that strategy does change.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. That's one I'd love. You know, the problem with that is they're not going to tell you jack crap until after this is all done.
Right? Yep. They don't want to tell you who they're going to draft. You know.
No, and they won't tell you how they're going to handle something like this.
Right.
That's the thing. So it's going to be, you know, you may have to go to another team that has experienced it to try to figure out how they're going to go about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's interesting, actually. As a draft geek, that's the kind of stuff that interests me. That kind of stuff. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe, as always, and catch his work there at the NFL Network. Cam, as always, thank you, my friend. I appreciate the conversation. We catch up later in the week.
Absolutely. Chat later this week for Dolphins fans. I think Travis just announced it, but I'll be doing a Twitter space deal with the Dolphins Network tomorrow night to talk a little Dolphins ball. So if you're around tomorrow night, we will talk a little ball there. I will do another Howling with the Wolf chat at some point before the draft. I just had to figure out when.
You got it.
But we'll see you guys Friday back here chatting with Big O.
You got it. There you go.
Man. See you.
The one and only Cameron Wolfe. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.